ECIC, your export risk partner.
We have seen some very important projects taking place on the continent. I think what is on everybody's lips at the moment is the Mozambique LNG discoveries and the developments that are taking place presently there. We are very much involved in those projects. We are looking at providing insurance cover against both commercial and political risks in Mozambique to the tune roughly of about 20 billion rands. Hopefully that should enable about 10 billion rands worth of South African goods and services being deployed in Mozambique.
Every year, South African Revenue Services, every month I should say, South African Revenue Services releases stats that people don't really look at, the trade surplus or deficit, export-import values that are flowing through from South Africa to our biggest partners. What do you see, as somebody who's at the heart of these trades, what do you see as the trends?
You're quite right. I mean, I think people would not even be aware that, we actually, South African exports actually peaked since, say, 1954. Actually, last year was the best ever export performance for South Africa. I'm sure people don't even know that, but probably, but those are the kind of exciting statistics that one is having. And I think having been on the I think on the cutting edge of South Africa's ability to access contracts on the continent, especially sub-Saharan Africa mostly, we have seen quite a fluctuation in terms of the projects that are taking place on the continent. In the past few years, probably say 7-10 years, there was a lot of emphasis or a lot of investment in mining related projects. And with the commodities problems that befell us globally in the past 4 or 5 years, we began to see the shift out of mining and more investments going into things like power generation, infrastructure development, the roads, the rail, water services, ports, and all those kind of things, and telecoms. And we have been also quite critical, largely involved in those developments in terms of supporting or facilitating South African exports into those countries, mostly by way of backing the bank loans, supporting them by underwriting a large chunk, I must say, of the bank loans. Last year we were talking about the Nacala project in Mozambique, which is quite a critical component of the infrastructural development in the region, largely supporting port developments on the Nacala port. And I think we are going to see a lot of those kind of developments taking place, and infrastructure is key. Sometimes we keep on talking about industrialization. That is good in itself, but without the support of the necessary infrastructure, both in terms of logistics and physical infrastructure, you are not going to end up achieving the optimal results.
When you look at the South African landscape and the broader African export landscape, where do you see opportunities that South Africans could take better advantage of? Well,
we have actually been talking about value-added manufactured products. I think things like agro-processing are extremely important. We have already seen how if you add value on the products, beneficiation, for instance, of our raw materials or our minerals, as opposed to exporting them in raw form. That is the biggest opportunity that one will see happening. We have been talking about the food industry, being the food security and all those kind of things on the continent. And without having a really vibrant manufacturing of agricultural products to add value on them and to diversify the export base, we would not see much of the advantages being taken, opportunities being taken on the continent. So we are going to be supporting what we call the export-led manufacturing or industrialization program, and we are quite central in that.
ECIC, your export risk partner.